We are not on the train anymore. We did it. Kwaku sort of turns to the two of you and goes, well, seeing as you technically helped me, I suppose the cab fare's on me. And proceeds to hail a cab. And then for the next few hours, you actually get to enjoy the equivalent of a rest because you get to sit back in a cab that will eventually take you to a bus depot. And then you can hop on a bus, and that will take you off to the west. On the way, you can sort of look out the windows. You see some very pretty sights because you are getting sunset in the mountains. As you're traveling on the bus, you notice that off to both sides, you can see nature. You go through a few small towns, a few remote areas. You can occasionally see like a cabin or something out in the mountains, but this area seems to be largely nature, with occasion breaks for it where people are doing like quarry mining and whatnot. In fact, as you're sort of looking around on the bus, there aren't really that many people there. There's just a few. They're very much dressed for winter. When you got off the train, like it was kind of cold. As the bus goes further west, you actually do notice that it seems to be getting cold. It's kind of weird, but all the locals seem to not really think much of it.
Does it seem like it's getting colder to you?
It does seem to be getting a little bit colder than it should, but none of the other people on the bus seem to care, so I guess this is normal.
It appears that the bus is actually run by the White Rabbit Mining Company. Looking around, you can see a bunch of things that they're promoting things like, exciting and profitable opportunities awaiting bold young men and women willing to put in an honest day's work in the basalt mines. Did you know this region hosted volcanic activity in its formation, meaning volcanoes a long time ago created the basalt that we mine today. Basalt is used for roads, building insulation, cosmetic construction, and statues. We're using the gifts of the past to build the future. By contrast, all the people that are going to work look like they really don't feel like going to work, and they are not at all the bold young men and women willing to put in an honest day of work in the basalt mines.
Penelope is reading the "Didn't you know" sign out loud to Anise in that exact same tone.
Anise is
you know?
Anise is doing her best to just ignore it, but she can't, so she's reread the same page about Tom Bombadil like 3 times and is going slowly insane.
Penelope has her face now plastered to the window and is just gaping at the snow
Should they not have snow where you're from? Turn a page.
Not that often.
It is quite the sight.
Just every now and then just will reach over and just poke it in and just be like, look.
I look. Oh, that's nice. Go back to the book.
As the bus continues onward into the snow, you eventually actually get to see a big sign. Welcome to White Rabbit's Field. It's got an illustration of a man. He's a cartoon. He's dressed up like a traditional miner, the hard hat that has a bulb on it and all of that stuff. And he's holding it upside down and he's pulling a rabbit out of it like a magician. You can see the area behind it is a giant quarry. Off on the left, it's a whole bunch of quarries, a bunch of signs. Whenever you see development, it's on the left side. When you look out on the right side, it's not developed at all. It's just woodland. For whatever reason, people have decided not to mess with that side of the road. I think Kwaku's just sort of enjoying sitting over there and looking out at the real nature as it snows and he can see stars in the sky.
She gets bored and just hops across the aisle and just plops down next to Kwaku and goes, "Did you see it?"
I did.
Okay.
Which thing did I see?
Oh, did you see the quarry?
Oh yes, I saw that from this side. I've been enjoying the trees side a bit more, but the quarry is impressive. It's always interesting to watch humanity take things from the world and presumably send them somewhere else.
Well, what's going on over tree side?
Not much actually. I think I saw a deer.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it seems suspiciously left alone. It reminds me of some areas in other countries that have been sort of acquired for preservation, but I don't see any signs telling people to keep away. In fact, I bet I could probably find out a little bit more. And then he sort of calls up to the driver, in a loud enough voice that pretty much everyone on the bus is going to hear him anyway. So why does no one buy up and settle on the right side? Protected land. Who owns it? I don't know. All I know is that there's no gas stations, and nobody seems to want to build over there, and that it's haunted.
Haunted?
Anise is now interested. Haunted by what?
I assume ghosts. I don't know. There's plenty of urban legends. Everything from, white witches to big monsters. The mining community is known for its superstition. There's plenty to do on the left. Why bother with the right? There's only really one business even over there, and that'll be our stop. I don't know. Maybe you should Ask Gunter when you get there. He might be able to tell you more.
Penelope just leans over to Anise and it's just like, okay, how haunted do you think it is?
I'll just look over at the sea of trees. 50% haunted.
Give it a good 70. It looks pretty haunted.
And Kwaku sort of leans over and goes, I hope it's haunted too. It's also possible that the people that we're coming to visit have spread the rumor to get people to leave them alone. And as Kwaku says that, you actually can see some lights up in the distance on the right. The only lights you've seen in the right for the last half hour. Off in the distance, under some big lights, you see what you could best describe as a Hollywood movie's idea of a Wild West saloon. Weisse Hexsalon, and under it in English, even bigger letters than that, White Witch Saloon. About the time you can see that, the bus driver calls back, well, everybody, it's time to get out. You're going to work? Well, sorry. And for anyone else who's sightseeing, you might want to check out the saloon up here on the right. Given how late it is, you're probably going to want to stay the night. I'm certainly not coming back before dawn on account of the ghost. And with that, the bus is going to pull into the area with a whole bunch of people waiting on the left and a saloon on the right.
Grabbing my stuff and heading towards the saloon.
I must say, I haven't had a whole lot of exposure to this sort of American Western type thing. I'm quite intrigued.
I'm just straight up delighted right now.
The saloon in front of you, like I said, it's a 2-story building. There's a bunch of benches and chairs, there's some stacked barrels, some weirdly out of place given you're in Germany, bison skulls hanging. That red thing that you see over there near the right end is actually one of those, you put a quarter in it and ride horses, should anyone feel the need to do so.
Wait, hold on. Is it American quarters?
Oh no, it's American quarters. This thing was directly pulled from somewhere in America, presumably.
Penelope runs up to it. Please tell me someone has quarters.
Yes, 1 second. I believe Raps has one.
Oh my god.
So he flips open the box and he reaches in and he sort of shouts down, do you have a quarter? And then a giant hand reaches up and gives him a state's quarter. I don't know where you found this, but thank you.
She hops on and puts the quarter in the machine.
Well, the machine does work. It starts moving back and forth with you sitting on it. It's very cold. The audio is exactly the level of audio quality you would expect from a thing like this. So, it's kind of like listening to a MIDI through a drive-through speaker. But the melody is there. It sounds sufficiently Western to you. And this goes on for about a minute. While you do that, Anise can look through the window if she wants. Looking through the window, you see people eating. You see a bunch of benches. You can see that there's a fireplace in the back. See a giant bear rug, part of a pool table. The place kind of gives you the vibe of almost like a family restaurant that's trying really hard to look like it's a country Western saloon. About the time you're done looking at all of that stuff, the mechanical horsey comes to a halt. And Penelope is an official cowboy.
All right, let's go inside so I can get my official hat.
So now that you're inside, I'll give you a little bit more of the room. You can see 5 people to your right. There's a table full of people, and there's one of them with, 3 plates down and one guy sitting there eating. The group of people at the top table are having a lively discussion. The guy at the bottom table is sort of eating by himself. Behind the bar, there's a guy who's dressed up like a cowboy, but not like a real cowboy, like a TV cowboy. In front of him, there's another guy who's just sort of eating his food. There's another guy who's thumbing through the menu. Up in the far top left corner, next to the fireplace, you can see 2 guys playing billiards. The area immediately above you right now has a lower ceiling, and you can already tell from where you're standing that there are stairs that go up to a 2nd floor, whereas the area in the upper half of the room just goes way up to the top. And when you look up there, you actually see a lot of things hanging from the ceiling in addition to the lighting and the fans. Lots of random cowboy stuff hanging down from up there. In general, the place actually looks pretty good, pretty well maintained. Behind the bar, you can see a case that's got a lot of drinks in it. There's cans, there's bottles, there's alcohol. There's a decent assortment of stuff, and then there's a chalkboard with, the day's specials and all of that written on it too. The day's special, by the way, is Yeehaw Chili, written in English. Anise, make a perception check. You've actually seen this handwriting somewhere before. While the letter that you received with this order was definitely written in that degrading handwriting that concerned you and is the reason you decided to come here in person, the big envelope with that and the money and whatnot in it was written in much better handwriting, and it matches the stuff that you see up on the chalkboard. It's very distinct. Now that you've seen the context of this place, it makes more sense that the little eyes they looked like loops before, but now you realize they kind of look like little lassos. Someone's really, really into cowboy stuff, and they were the one who handled the actual shipping of this package. You did see a mailbox nearby. And it's the only mailbox you saw, so presumably your thing was shipped out from here, if anywhere.
So, going to the bar, or are we going to get a table?
Let's get a table.
There are actually some menus sitting on the table waiting for you if you want to look over them.
Yeah. I don't want to have to order that hot chili under any circumstances.
What could happen? The menu is actually somewhat limited. There's a section on soups. There actually are some salads. Like, they do exist. Like, a lot of it is like meat or potatoes or things along that line. And then, of course, there's a whole section on chili. So, do you think a fistful of donuts would actually be a good idea?
What kind of things do we see in, like, I don't know, the salad section?
The first one listed is based on the ingredients. It's like a green salad, and it's actually just called What Food Eats. And there's 310 to Yum Yum. Like, a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables in there, but also like some wontons. You're getting the impression very quickly that whoever started this place had the idea of cowboy and then no actual idea of what to do with it.
How does the menu look dessert-wise?
Sherbets, ice cream. There's a cheesecake. A cheesecake. Not a lot of flavors, but a cheesecake. There's hamburgers, there's beans, there's mac and cheese.
I wonder if we just flag down the waiter or like...
Are you looking over to the guy at the bar?
Yeah.
Okay, the second you make eye contact,
God.
His head tilts a little bit to you, and then he tips down the hat, and you actually see a sparkle in his eye.
Oh my God.
And then he proceeds to step up to right here, and then put one arm on the bar, and then right over the bar, lands on the stool, continues up, and then walks forward, steps around over here, almost trips over this, but doesn't, continues on like it didn't happen, and then walks down here.
Penelope is delighted.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the White Witch Saloon. My name is Gunter, and I run this fine establishment. What can I do for you on the grub front?
I didn't see grubs on the menu, but...
You're right, we should get some grubs.
Yes, prepared correctly, they can be quite delicious.
Bugs in it?
I've been known to eat bugs prepared correctly. They can be quite nutritious.
Now, it's important to get your protein when you're out on the prairie. So I respect that. While we don't have any bugs here, on account of how clean the rooms are, happy to take your order.
Okay, so I would like, and then she just starts to proceed to order like at least 5 different things. I don't even want to bother figuring out what they are right now.
Well, you got yourself a bit of an appetite. He seems to think you're ordering for the table, and he starts to turn.
Oh no, done.
Yes. I would like, and Anise orders like a hamburger and a salad and something to drink.
Well, we've definitely got every kind of whiskey we could find. So both of them. Your fair selection of bourbon. We got some bottles. We got some other bottles. In fact, I'll just bring you a few and you can pick one.
Do you have any wine?
Oh, there's city booze. Yeah, I think I've got some in the back if you'd like. Do you prefer it red like blood or white like hats?
Red like blood. Yes, sure.
That is the most rugged answer, and I appreciate it. I would like to try the Yeehaw chili, but could you please bring some milk with it? I'll be right back, cowpokes and ladies.
Before you leave.
Oh, yes?
I have a question. I rode on the horse.
You rode on the horse? You rode on Betsy?
Yeah. Do I get a hat?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Are you a good little girl or a bad little girl? Because that determines your hat. He seems to not at all understand the connotations of what he just said.
Sir, I don't know you well enough to answer that question.
Well, on account of how much you just helped out this fine establishment, I'm going to take it you're a good un, and I'm going to go get you a white hat.
I am an adult. And then she also requests some of the wine.
Sure thing, little lady. Doesn't even check for ID, so he makes his way back. He actually goes back the more responsible way. Gets to talking to the kitchen staff. So what do you think is in the chili?
I don't even want to begin to fathom. You'll have to let us know.
All I know is that of everything on that menu, this is the one most likely to bring us a story. So this is the one I ordered.
I do wonder why they call this place the White Witch. That doesn't seem very Western.
While they're waiting, Penelope's just gonna start, like, she's looking at Kwaku and Anise, but she's kind of like subtly eavesdropping on the other table.
The two of them on the top are going back and forth in German.
Oh no.
The bottom two actually are speaking to each other, and they are speaking in English, so you can understand what they're talking about. The one on the left down there who is smiling and wearing a hat, and in English he's saying, "So what's up with that guy over at the bar? He's an American, right? Like, he looks like an American. He's been here for days. Why would anyone come here for days? He doesn't work here. It's strange. He's just always at the bar. I think he's staying here. I don't know what's going on with that. He's weirding me out. I don't really get it." The guy to the right of him is replying, "He's probably just a tourist who's here to write a book or something. We get those every once in a while. For all I know, he's Stephen King." I don't think he's Stephen King. Do you know what Stephen King looks like? I don't know what Stephen King looks like. See, it could be Stephen King. I don't think it's Stephen King. Should we go ask him if he's Stephen King? No, you can't just ask someone if they're Stephen King. I'm going to ask him. No, you're not.
I heard them say something about a white witch over at the other table. It was in German, so I didn't... That's the only word I understood.
I guess, like, Anise will try to listen in on the conversation happening in German.
The guy in the top left who's all nervous, going back and forth in German, with the guy in the top right who's like, he is consoling him a little bit. How did Gunther even buy this place? Why did he call it the White Witch? That's so weird. It's just weird, right? Like, we know Gunther. He worked with us, but then one day he's suddenly rich and opens a saloon, and then he calls it that? Like, what's up with that? And then the other one is sort of reassuring him. Look, man, it's probably just named after his girlfriend. We've all seen her once in a while. You know, the really white lady with the white hair. Why would he name his girlfriend a witch? That's really weird. That's between them. That could be their thing. We know Gunther's weird. Well, then how come we never actually see her walking around here? Well, I mean, maybe she's not real. I don't know. Maybe she's the White Witch. We don't know. This place could be haunted. What do you mean it could be haunted? Sorry, no, it's probably not haunted. What do you mean probably? Well, I've never seen anything. What if the ghosts are invisible? And he goes back to looking around, as if that's gonna make more sense after what he just said.
I will relay that the bar, they're not sure why the bar is called the White Witch, and they're just as confused about it as we are, and that Gunther apparently suddenly got rich and bought this place. And possibly named it after his girlfriend, who's very pale and has white hair.
When he comes back, I'm gonna ask him.
That could make for a good story. I'm curious to hear it as well.
We should also ask about rooms.
Gunther is here with a giant tray of food. Now, I'll be right back with the Yeehaw chili. Both of you notice that guy at the end of the bar, who may or may not be Stephen King, but it's probably not Stephen King, he did sort of do the yawn stretch thing. When he did that, you got a bit of a better look at him. He's kind of a weird combination of features, which would maybe explain why people were paying a little more attention to him than usual. He is Caucasian. His skin is kind of pale, but it looks a little more rough than you would expect for someone whose skin's that pale. Like someone who maybe works out in the sun all day, but somehow doesn't have a tan. He's got long brown hair, which is in a ponytail drooped over one of his shoulders. You can tell even from this far away and in the lighting of the room that his hair is gray in places, like it's prematurely graying. You can't even tell really how old the guy is, because he either lived a really hard life at a young age, or he's aging marvelously, but he's in this really ambiguous place of could be 30s, could be 40s. He's also kind of noteworthy to you because he's got black spectacles on, even though there's not really a lot of reason to wear those inside. You also notice that when he does his yawn stretchy thing, he's sort of taking in the room. You get the distinct impression, specifically Penelope noticed this one, that his gaze lingered on your table slightly longer than anything else. You kind of get the impression that he spent a little bit more time looking at Penelope and Anise than he did at Kwaku or anything else. Kind of reminds you a little bit of when you were on the train and that guy seemed to make the two of you and try to cover it up. But he's not doing anything. He just did his yawn and now he's picked his menu back up.
I think Stephen King was checking us out.
Has he ordered anything?
No, he seems to still be just looking at the menu, even though you've had time to order and get your food. Kwaku sort of turns around and a little bit more bluntly looks in that guy's direction once he puts the menu up. So I didn't get as good a chance to see him as you did, but I think I might know who that is. I think he's with the association. Not sure why he would be here though. I think he's He's actually looks a bit worn down because he's a necromancer. Yes, I don't remember what he's called, but I think he's one of the people that gets called in when there are sealing designations. There are not many of them, but I think his job is to recover the crest of whoever the designation is on, which would make sense as a necromancer, as presumably you're going to want to extract that after they kill the person. It's very strange to find him here, though. Odds are, if I recognize him, he could recognize me, so I suppose we could talk to him?
We can always bother him after we eat. See what he's up to.
So as you're saying this, Gunther returns with a giant cast iron pot and mittens on it, and he sets the giant pot on the open spot of the table, and then he pulls out like a tiny little whistle, almost like a kazoo, and he blows on it, and it makes a high-pitched noise that gets everyone's attention. And then he turns and he goes, "Yeehaw chili! Just what's good for you! Yeehaw chili! That's what you ordered! Yeehaw chili! It's a special dish! Yeehaw jelly! It's so delish!" About it, everyone in the room just sort of stares, and then he just sort of throws his hands up like a ta-da. Kwaku is just like suddenly embarrassed, and you've not really seen this look on him before. And then he goes, "Yes, that is what I ordered. Thank you. This is an experience."
So, Gunther, my dude, I have a question for you.
Well, shucks. I mean, I am from a dude ranch, so I can help you out however I can.
We were wondering, why is it called the White Witch Saloon?
I opened this establishment in honor of the White Witch that lives in the woods, on account of everybody says this side of the road is cursed, or that the witches will get you. But me, I think they're just misunderstood. So I opened this place in their name, and they've not done anything to me. Don't get bothered by any ghosts or spirits or poltergeist or any the sort up in here. Also, they're mighty nice to look at.
I have so many questions. You've met the White Witch, which is plural?
Well, I've met one or two.
We heard your girlfriend is the White Witch.
Oh no, I'm afraid old Gunther is a lifelong bachelor. But I have met one or two, and they are very nice. They're nice ladies, and they deserve respect.
They're nice. Why do people think that the woods are cursed?
I think people are just afraid of places that they're not willing to go. And if I'm being honest, I've not really wanted to go there either. You see, you go down the hill, behind the saloon, and into the trees, you'll get turned around, and before you know it, you're staring back at my saloon. I don't know how it works. It's a tricky mountain. Maybe it's got something to do with bats and echolocation throwing off your brain. Far as I can tell, people get weirded out by it, and so they started, telling stories. But there are some nice ladies who live back there, and they come out once in a bit. They've got beautiful white hair, they pay nice, and they go about their business. And we are happy to host them here at the White Witch Saloon.
This might be a weird question. Do they pay in euros or gold?
Between you and me, and he sort of leans in, like right in front of Penelope, because he's leaning the awkward way over the table. They do tend to pay in gold. It's that good no-tax currency. You're not auditors, are you? I should have asked that first. Damn it, Gunther.
No, we most certainly not.
I am absolutely a tax auditor, sir.
She's kidding, I think.
Well, if you are, there's an extra Sunday in it for you if you say you're not and you live by it.
I mean, I will gladly tell you that I am not a tax auditor if it gets me free ice cream.
Sounds like we've got ourselves an accord. And then he very blatantly winks at you. Now, how do you know about them and their gold? Have you gotten a coin or two from them in your day?
I'm a crafty person. I make things, they buy them, I send them to them, and they send me gold in return. I thought it was weird, but gold spends. It's like you said, it's no tax currency.
So what, you received a package from them? Do you have what she ordered?
I don't think he's a bad guy, but I'm still gonna do an insight check.
You are welcome to. He's weird, but he isn't giving you any impression that he's a liar.
I do, yes. And I actually recognized the handwriting on the board. That's your handwriting, if I can assume. Being that you dot your I's with lassos.
Well, that's just how a good and cultured man writes his script. Between, again, you, me, and the steers above, I think there might be some ears around here that shouldn't hear our conversation. would you mind stepping over to the back? Maybe we can have a chat with less intrusive cowpoke ears?
Only if my 2 friends can come with me.
Oh, I insist.
Okay.
And then he says really loud, let's go get you your ice cream, birthday girl. All right, so he's going to lead you guys back here. So he's going to open this door that's next to the stairs. So over here, you can see a door that goes presumably outside back here. It's got like an emergency exit sign or whatever on it. Welcome to the kitchen and storeroom. And then he sort of drops the cowboy act entirely. So you're the nice lady who's going to help out my friend who needed me to send that package for.
I suppose I am.
Okay, good, because I'm real worried about her. She's the one who helped me open this saloon. A few years back when I was still working in the quarry with everybody else, I got kind of tired of dealing with everybody. Turns out they make fun of you if you're in the cowboys out here for some reason. Uncultured. I decided to just go for a walk in the woods and I actually did run into her. Well, it was her or one of her sisters. It's kind of weird. They look pretty similar. Twins or something. It's a weird family. Specifically, what she was telling me is that it was inconvenient for them to have to meet guests out here and bring them back because people noticed it and it started making rumors about there being witches and stuff. So I offered to open up an establishment to give people somewhere to stay and maybe justify it, and then occasionally I would send them back down to her whenever they were visiting. Now, I don't know what her family does, but I know they pay real good and they seem nice. I've got a room here set aside for their guests. Every once in a while, they'll come to me and they'll say, Gunter, could you help me out? And of course I do, because they're good ladies. Every year she'd come out here and she'd send out some mail. Not a problem. I assume that was going to you. But this past year, she was a bit late. We have a bit of an anniversary. Like, I call it a date. She doesn't seem to call it anything, just when she shows up. She came out here this time, and she didn't look so good. She was a bit later than usual. It was like a few days late, maybe a week. She looked kind of sick, and she said that she needed some medicine. Now, I offered to take her to a hospital, but she said not that kind of medicine. I am not a man of science, so I believe her. I took care of mailing it out, and then I told her that whenever the package came back, or I guess now the person delivering it, I would get it to her. But I haven't seen her since, and I'm worried about her. She lives off in the woods, and it seems like everybody else who goes down there gets lost and turned around, but she seems to be just fine with it. In fact, whenever they have guests, she comes out here and she walks them back, so I presume she knows the way. It is dangerous out there, and I worry about her, especially if she's sick. If you're here to help her out, then I would be happy to do whatever I can to help you help her. If you're here to help her out, then as far as I'm concerned, that makes you a guest. So I would be happy to give you the key to their guest room, and if you'd like another room or two, I can throw those in as well. It's up to you. Right now, we've only got one of them checked out, and there's 3 more.
That's quite generous of you. Thank you.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I'll get you the keys right now. And he walks over to like a post that's over the potatoes, because apparently that's where he keeps them.
If you don't mind me asking, who is the 4th room being rented out to?
Oh, it's that American feller. He's a bit of a weird one. He's been here for a few days. He paid up front. I see him going out at night, comes back around 1 or 2-ish, then sleeps a bit and then heads out each day. Don't really know where he goes. Comes back by dinner time. Doesn't seem to cause any trouble.
I suppose if the 3 rooms open and 3 of us, we could each take 1 room?
Well, all right then. I'll get you 3 keys and you can divide them up as you see fit. He holds out 3 keys to you. One of them is a wolf, one of them has a stag, and one of them has a bear. I will take the bear.
I guess I'll take the stag.
That leaves the wolf for Anise. As much as I am worried about my lady friend, I would recommend maybe going out to see her in the daylight. It's pretty dark out there. It's pretty cold. And between all of us, yeah, there's ghosts. There's totally ghosts.
What kind of ghosts?
They're the kind of ghosts that you don't see, but they do stuff to you. Scare you away.
Interesting.
They don't seem to actually hurt anybody, but they scare the dickens out of you.
Are they the kind that like throw things around the room?
Oh yeah, that's them. That's them.
Ooh.
For the most part, they only really mess with people who go down into the woods.
You don't have any way of contacting these white witches, I suppose. They just come to you when they need things.
They usually show up when they need something, and seeing as I'm always here, it's pretty easy for them to find me. Some of them checked into the room just before leaving. They said they'd be back later, but then they didn't come back. I think they left the country. 2 tall, nice ladies. There's a girl with them. She's pretty young, pretty tiny. But they left about a year ago. No one's actually checked out the room since then either. So I guess if you find anything in there that's theirs, they might appreciate it if you bring it back. I have not touched the room because I respect their privacy.
You've seen the White Witches since then, just not those 3 in particular?
Not those 3, no. Just the one that I know.
Well, thank you for the information, and thank you for the rooms.
Yeah, thank you.
I believe we should be getting back to that yeehaw chili.
Oh, that's true. You should probably get to that before it gets cold, because if I've got to heat it up, it's going to lose a little bit of its kick. No, that would be terrifying.
Sir, you still owe me a hat?
You're absolutely right. He takes the hat off of his head and he puts it on yours.
Oh no, I can't see. I've gone blind.
Perhaps a smaller hat.
I'll go digging back in the storage and I'll find you a smaller hat if you want to come back for that later.
She's like, you keep it.
Well, all right then. I'll find another one for you by the time you get back from helping out my friend. In the meantime, and then he reaches down into like a little freezer and he grabs an ice cream scooper and he actually makes you your sundae.
How's the game going?
It's very possible that you're observing an old guy about to get sharked. And then you rolled a 20 for observing the guy at the bar. He has crow's feet under his eyes. Like, he definitely is a bit more of a gaunt appearance than you could tell from across the room. He's also got a grayish silver hue to his eyes. Like, maybe they were once blue, but they've definitely faded. You've noticed from working with much older druids that a lifetime of working with life magic actually makes your eyes a bit more vibrant. Now you're kind of assuming that maybe working with death subdues you. In fact, it's very likely that as a necromancer, if this guy is a necromancer, he's probably been slowly draining away a lot of aspects of his life. Like, he might not die from it or anything, but it's certainly taking a toll on him. He's definitely a human, or at least in a human disguise. Okay, so you get back, you continue on eating. The table next to you, they're still talking. The one in the top right, who was reassuring the one in the top left before in German, is trying to change the subject to calm the other guy down, but he's apparently not doing a great job. So, like, in German, he says, you really don't have to worry about the ghost. Like, you should be way more afraid of, like, the animals and the wildlife. They say they've been seeing giant animals around here, like packs of wolves, chupacabra things. And chupacabra doesn't have a German word, so you all hear chupacabra. All kinds of stuff. Like, that's way scarier than ghost, right? And he's like, you are not making this any better. Why do people work out here? And he's like, because the money's really good. No wonder the guy who's been here the longest went crazy and turned into a cowboy. So, like, as far as Penelope is concerned, she's sitting there and she hears a bunch of German while she's eating her ice cream, and occasionally, blah, 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 chupacabra, blah, 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 Mothman, blah, 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 blah.
I do wonder about these poltergeists, though. I do kind of want to see if we can find them, but I also don't want to go out in the snow.
Yeah. And who knows? They may just show up in the middle of the night.
The guy moved. The guy's moving towards us. No, okay. Oh.
Nope,
yes.
no. I need an adult.
Can we help you, sir?
Oh, hey there. Yeah, I was actually, fancy that. I was sitting over there at the bar, and I happened to notice 2 beautiful ladies and a guy I know from work sitting over here, and I decided to come visit. So how are you doing, old buddy code spinner? I overheard you talking about poltergeists. I happen to know a bit about those if you'd be interested in hearing something or two.
I would, actually. I'm quite fond of ghost stories.
Oh, the stories are much better than the real thing. I have a feeling we're probably all here for work. I think I recognize you. Hold on.
Oh, do you?
Do you play music?
I do.
Do you play music on the stage in a place where people might be upset about seeing some of your features on display?
Oh. Perhaps.
Because personally, I think that's hilarious. It really pisses off the churchy types, and that's good in my book because they don't like me. You're probably not here for work, but I would wager that if you're traveling with this here fella, he's here for work, and there's only really one reason for any of us to be up here. Maybe that's not the best conversation to have down here at the table. If any of you would like to know a little bit more, I'll be in the first room upstairs.
Okie dokie.
See you later, Code Spinner.
Do you know anything about that strange man?
That's definitely who I thought it was. It's still very strange that he's here, but him going out at night does make a bit more sense now if there actually are poltergeists in the area. I would wager he might be here to put a stop to that because provable ghosts are a problem. He could actually just be here on cleanup duty, although I'm more worried that he would be necessary. The people that we'll be visiting, it is known that their forest is haunted, but nothing leaves. It should be held in place so that this kind of issue doesn't happen. So if anything is getting out, then they may have bigger problems than we realize, and it might be related to why your friend needs help. Well, I guess once we run out of yeehaw chili, he is not at all consuming the stuff. He's sort of whirling it around with the spoon.
Penelope slides one of her plates over to him and is just like, you don't have to eat the chili.
I appreciate your hospitality.
Like
and he absolutely takes the tray and starts eating. This is pretty good.
Isn't it? I took like one bite of it. Sorry for the germs.
I'm confident that anything that I could possibly catch could be taken care of with a chaser from this chili.
Penelope takes a spoon and just like takes a bite of it.
You get to roll a constitution.
Against her better judgment, Anise will also...
There's a lot of kick to it, but it's definitely edible. Like, you won't, get sick or die from it, but it's hot.
It's quite spicy. It was made by someone that doesn't understand how to properly spice things.
I got the impression just from the smell of it, he's of the mindset that things become better if they are hotter and not if they have flavor.
Do we want to head upstairs?
Might as well.
You can see the downstairs below you. There are on the stairs 4 doors. Each one has an animal. He's in the one that has a boar. None of these are real animals. In fact, pretty much everything in this entire establishment is fake, with the exception of maybe that anvil sitting down there next to the fireplace.
Penelope knocks on the door.
Oh, hey, come on in. We're going to have a little bit of a chat, I think. Don't mind the boar. I don't know why it's there either. Because there's one in the room, and it's awkwardly staring at the bed. Kwaku closes the door behind him, and when he does, the necromancer guy sits down on the chair in the corner. It's very clear from his positioning in this room that all 3 of you could leave at any time. He's not blocking the way. Okay, much better. I don't think the locals downstairs are really going to listen in, but you can never be too careful. I am here because we've had a lot of accounts of ghosts. Normally, the Einsburns keep their house clean, but no one's seen any of them for a bit. We're a bit concerned that their bounded field might be falling apart, which would be letting all the creepy ghosty things that they keep in it wander outside. I got here a few days ago, and when I did, I definitely encountered a specter or 2. So I've been going around and setting up my own wards around this area to try to keep them out. I tried to go into the forest, but every time I walk in, I find myself back here. So here I am sitting downstairs, considering the best way that I can phrase this to management that hopefully doesn't involve them deciding that this area is beyond salvage, when I see 3 of you come in. And that presents us with an opportunity. Maybe the 3 of you could look into this and solve this bounded field problem before I have to tell management. If you could do that, then I can focus on keeping the ghost out before anybody gets hurt. Now, I don't know why you're all here, but you wouldn't come up here if you didn't have business with the Einsburns, so I have a feeling you're going in that direction anyway.
I'm here to make a delivery to the Einsburns, I assume, and if repairing this bounded field or repelling the ghosts would help in any way for me to complete my delivery, I suppose I can cooperate.
If a lot of you were expecting to deal with ghosts, then I can help you out a little bit too. Gonna be taxing my own resources to keep them out from up here before anybody notices them, but I could maybe give you a trinket or 2 to make this a little bit easier. From what I know about your musical career, you're more likely in the bardic schools than the ghost busting business. I'm guessing from the staff and the general aesthetic that you're more druidic. Neither one of those are really geared towards fighting the ghost and the undeads. Kwaku can take care of himself or build something to do that. I'm not worried about him, but for the 2 of you, I'll give each of you one of these. And he actually takes those earrings off and he hands them to you. You don't have to wear them, that'd be gross, but if you have them on you, they might make it a bit easier to take care of the ghosts that are messing with you. Just keep it in your pocket or something, but don't lose it, I would miss it. They are a pair.
What are they?
These are fangs from a basilisk. It's a little one though, like an itty bitty one. If you've got them on you, it's not too hard for you to hit a ghost and it'd actually feel it. Just bring them back to me when you're done, because I don't think I have to tell you how rare basilisks are, and I would really hate to lose them. If I'm being honest, my daughter made these, and I would be a terrible father if I lost them, so don't go dying off in the woods either.
Oh my god, do you have a picture of your daughter?
I try not to carry pictures of my family given the business that I'm in, but she is adorable.
Before we leave, though, sir.
Yes.
We don't know her name.
Oh, yeah, I am so rude. I am so sorry. I'm known in the mage circles as the Bone Settler on account of I help the bones settle.
So, do we call you Mr. Bone?
You know what? I'm trusting you with my daughter's earrings. You can just call me Crosby.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm Penelope, by the way.
I am Anise.
Pleased to meet the both of you. Also, it's nice to see you again, Kwaku. You might not remember me. I think we met up at the same party. You were talking about some cool story thing, and I was drunk. You were very drunk. I now tell stories about how drunk you were. Well, it's good to be remembered. Given all that, I would definitely recommend heading out in the morning. You really don't want to deal with the ghost at night. Some of them are that much meaner. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go make the rounds and reinforce my own little bounded field to hopefully keep things off of the other residents. Good luck, everyone, and get some rest.
I suppose we should all go to our rooms.
Oh, look, it's rooms. Is that a hot tub?
Yeah, they could be hot tubs. I'm fine for that. That's more fun. In each of the rooms, there is a big, fake, stuffed animal staring down at you while you sleep.
Penelope goes next door and knocks on the door. Anise,
Yes?
do you have one of the animals on your wall, too?
Yes. I've put my coat over it so that it can't stare at me.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Okay, so you see a coat hanging over part of a wolf sticking out of the wall.
They're not real, they're very clearly fake, but it's still a little creepy. In fact, I think that might make it creepier. Anyway, good night.
Oh, okay, good. She just walks down the hall to Kwaku's door. Kwaku?
Yes, are you okay? Is there a ghost or something?
No, do you also have one of the creepy animals on your wall?
I have a bear staring at me as I sleep. I have a plan for not worrying about the bear, though. Let me show you my plan.
Okay.
He lets wraps out and wraps. Keep an eye on that bear, just in case. It stands under the bear, and if it had eyes, it would be staring directly at the bear.
Okay, I guess as long as you're safe.
I don't think the bear is going to come after me on account of it not having arms and legs, but you can never be too careful when there are ghosts, you know?
Alright, good night!
Good night. Stay safe.
Penelope goes back to her room and is just like, oh god, I don't think I have anything I can throw over this thing so that it doesn't stare at me at night. And she just like rips the entire comforter off of the bed and like chucks it at the stag and then gets in bed.
It's gotten a bit dark. You're laying back. There's a comforter over the moose. As you're lying down, is the final thing that you hear is your comforter falling off. When it does, you see this.